did I learn Russian language if I never went to classes, I never did any exercises, I never had a tutor? So how is it I learned Russian? Hi, my name's Laura. I'm an American living in Russia, and I've lived here for over 16 years. And I'd like to say that I am fluent, and I mean that because I can hold a conversation in Russian about anything. It doesn't mean I'm not without mistakes, but I have fluid conversation, like fluent. So how did I get here? The trick is, after I moved here, I worked for a family and I watched their children and I talked to them all day in English. The youngest was 2 years old and he didn't really speak that much English and I didn't really speak much Russian, but that's okay. 2-year-olds don't have high expectations of language ability. And we just played. Some of my first words were avaria, avaria, like when you crash cars together or you see that on the road. It's exciting. But I learned Russian the same way that that child learned English. And it was the best language exchange, but it also kind of colored my Russian that I learned for a while. You know, I didn't even know the real word was photo until later. I always thought it was fotki. But anyway, I learned Russian and that little boy speaks English. And now I'm sending my youngest to a tutor every day who doesn't speak a word of English. But you know what? She's going to be fluent before she knows it, because that's just how language works. We were meant to learn languages. Yes, it works better when you're younger, but it doesn't mean it doesn't work when we're older. It's harder and it's more complicated when you do it outside of a classroom, but it's also, you know, natural. It's the organic, GMO-free, free-range way of learning a language. But if you look at languages this way, you're gonna have to get a little bit comfortable with your relationship with your mistakes. Because that 2-year-old never really cared if I made any grammar mistakes, and I didn't care if he did either. All we cared about was understanding each other. And if we didn't understand each other, we didn't care. I think the problem with a lot of people when they start to learn language in an academic sense is they feel like this is the only way that language exists, forgetting how they use their native language. Grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, wrong times, wrong endings. You guys need to give yourself a break. So how did I learn Russian language? A 2-year-old taught me.